there, that the real focus is not so much on, hey, this is how you build an app, but rather, hey, this is how you go in and search user profiles. So that's why we've got it built this way.
Sure. I mean, I think that's a common complaint. This is how this is how the wizard generates everything.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And, and I think a lot of people choose to do that differently, and I think that's great to point that out. So in my search function, I'm doing a lot of the same things. We've already seen this in Christopher's previous modules on search, right? Of course, this is the JavaScript way, which is quite a little bit different. But you've got those named, those managed properties, first name, and I'm doing an OR, which Christopher described how you do that in keyword query language. I'm going to do a search for Tom or Riesing. And I pass the client context into my query object. And I set the query text of the query object to the first name or last name. And then this important difference between what we were doing earlier in search is the source ID.
Right, and that's that GUID. And one of the nice things to keep in mind, because I mean, like you called out, hey, you've got this GUID here. That's going to be the GUID on every single people search.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about going in and looking it up. So that's really just going to become boilerplate code. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, not necessarily pretty, but it's always going to be the same. So it does help make your life a little bit easier.
I'm just going to start the deployment in the background here so I can show you some things. So I've done my search, and I've returned that funny account name that we saw in the profile properties. And in the background, some things were happening really quickly there. So I want to go back and show you what happened here. So the package was deployed to, the WSP was built on my local desktop, and then it was uploaded. Now, in this case, I haven't changed anything since the last time I deployed it. So the Visual Studio is actually smart enough. The reason that happened so quickly is because it didn't actually redeploy. What would happen if I make a change, in some cases, the WSP will be retracted and then imported again. Now, you can actually do some things a little bit differently. So I can come in here and I can change this right here and watch what happens. I want you to watch down here on the ready part when I hit save.
I'm watching down there.
Communicating with SharePoint. That went by really fast, right?
That
I
did.
can do that again. Let me just change this to TO, right? And here it goes again. Communicating with SharePoint.
Wow, that's cool. Okay.
So you know what's happening there is the JavaScript file is being saved from Visual Studio, not just to my local desktop, but also directly to the server.
Oh, no kidding.
I do not have to stop debugging and go through the redeployment process. I can actually go back to my browser and hit refresh, and you can see the app is running once again. And in this case, it didn't get any results.
Right. Well, because there's no to and an empty last name.
Yes. So that's the Java. I wanted to show you that real quick. It also, you can make some changes on this side as well. I could change this to initializing the app. And similarly, when I hit the save button, right, communicating with SharePoint, it's saved. Refresh, and it'll be initializing the app. All right. So that's a quick demonstration of how you do people search in an app in JavaScript.
Perfect. Come back around. Slide. You have to do the slide dance. See, that's what helps.
I forgot to do the dance.
Yeah, you got to do the slide dance.
Yeah. All right, now I've got it.
Yeah, there we go. See? And it works.
Great. Now we'll move to the displaying user profile properties section, which clearly this Visual Studio solution is like begging to be seen because it already reared its head in the previous section. But let's talk about how you display user profile properties. You've got a couple different options, right? Of course, we've got all the client-side options, and we've got some server-side options, right? And then updating is always going to happen on the server side, as we discussed, except for the picture property. And one thing I hadn't mentioned before, we'll talk a little bit about creating user profile properties, and we already kind of had a discussion on why we might use the client side. So we hit that bullet already. So how do you create a user profile? Right, this is server-side code we're looking at right here. You're going to use those reference assemblies, similar to what we saw in some demos that Christopher's already done in earlier modules.
Just the Microsoft Office Server, only in this case, rather than taxonomy, going to be using user profiles, since obviously that's what we're going to be working with.
Right. And once again, you're always going to get your context. We've seen that quite a bit. And you're going to make a new user profile manager. And if you want to create a new, in this case, this is the Contoso, the familiar, ever familiar Contoso domain.
We are required, by the way, anytime we do a recording, to mention Contoso at least once. We do still have to mention Northwind and AdventureWorks at some later point as well.
Thank you. I think that's the first AdventureWorks spotting. Yeah.
Exactly.
I did say Northwind in my last demo.
You did say Northwind. Oh, okay,
yes.
Yeah, you're right. You did say Northwind. Okay. Yeah, so we just need to bring up something involving AdventureWorks a little bit later. We actually have a checklist back there. We have to go in and check all that off. Otherwise, we're not allowed to leave the building.
And you feel free to keep drag at home. You can even mention Resing or Geek Trainer, as we mentioned, Northwind and Contoso and AdventureWorks, whatever your favorite is.
For those of you scoring at home.
All right, so let's take a look at how you retrieve the user profile properties using client-side code. We looked at creating it on the server side. You want to always make sure that you are passing in an array of properties. So we took a look in the user interface to see what the properties of the user profile were that are available to us in my SharePoint Online instance. And one of them we did see was account name, and one of them is first name. So I can pass those in as part of my payload to the execute query function and receive back those and only those properties back from the user profile service. You got a good one in the?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. So once again, we're using the sp.userprofiles, and we're using the